Hey guys, how we doing? So I've decided to make a new podcast series and vlog series called Gobshite. And already one of the cats has walked in. So this should be interesting. So this isn't going to necessarily be an episode or whatnot. This is just me taking the opportunity to unpack what it is I expect and what it is I want to do with Gobshite. Now, all of you that know me already know that I carry a lot of opinions and I essentially chat a lot of shit. It's the way that I process my thoughts and my opinions and my feelings. It's just by saying what I see and getting it out there and kind of being unapologetic in my opinions. Because again, it's just my process of me understanding the world we live in. Now, I work a fucking lot at the moment. As you can see, I haven't really shaved my head. It's been a very busy few weeks. I spend a lot of that time isolated. So by trade, I'm a gardener, I'm a groundsman. I work with power tools and mainly just use machinery. So I spend a lot of day with my headphones in. And after doing my day job, I do a private gardening circuit, which means, I may be dealing with customers, but I'm still fairly isolated. And this time allows me to ruminate on ideas, thoughts, opinions, and it always gives me, well, it used to always give me the feeling of being well informed or calculated and thoughtful. But when it comes to expressing myself and unpacking these opinions, I often find where it sits up here all day and I don't get to talk to anyone or discuss these sort of ideas, I don't articulate myself the best. Even then, but I don't really articulate myself the best way. And the cats are fighting. Wait, Mika, piss off. Anyway, so I don't really articulate myself as well as I'd like to. So, and also to add to that, when I do find myself in company, like with my wonderful girlfriend Rosie or with my mates and that, I don't really unpack these ideas then because I'm with people that I love and care about, and I don't want to be wasting their time and my time just chatting shit. I'd much rather talk about them or see how they're doing. I mean, you don't want to waste your time. Not even waste your time, but you don't want to sort of fill your time up with talking these meaningful sort of ideas and all these thoughts because you want to value the time you have with your mates. So what I'm looking to do with this podcast vlog series is to sit down with a guest, not just myself, with a guest, predominantly from a working class background like myself. Not necessarily, it's not a main factor, but ideal for now, and just unpack their thoughts, unpack their opinions, unpack their sort of current world view, but do it in a very tasteful way and a very genuine way, because the people I'll have on the podcast I want to talk to about themselves, about what they're doing with their life and where they come from, where they started and where they're going. And the reason I want to do it in this format is, the other formats I've tried before by sitting down talking about music. I've always wanted to do something like this. I've always wanted to sort of be able to sit there and have meaningful conversations with people, but I never really do it. And the podcast series I tried before, the Young Dagger series, I was focusing too much about music. I know I want to do something like this, but obviously I hit the wrong market and it didn't feel as sincere or as genuine. So that's why I'm doing this now. And the reason I mentioned earlier about working class is because the whole definition of working class, or the whole perception of the working class and the what's the right word to use? The whole paradigm shift recently politically and attitude and this whole progressive movement. I think it's really skewed. I mean, normally the working class get the shitty end of the stick, but now we're more divided than ever. We've got so many factions of identity politics drawing the working class apart that we seem to forget what it is what we have more than the middle and upper class. And that's, we may be more tribal, but we have, with a better understanding, we're more progressive by nature, because by and large we look past these identity politics, because the one thing we have in common is poverty. So you have to build more meaningful relationships, and it's not that you let bad personality traits, you don't sort of dust them under the carpet. You're more understanding as to why some people may have these bad personality traits, and we seem to be more caring. We don't look at the world too objectively, but one thing we do look at objectively is our need to have a community. And what I found by and large, especially with gentrification, but with the middle classes primarily in academia, in education right now, they tend to romanticise about the working class lifestyle. Or I'll say more accurately lower class lifestyle, because I think the whole point of changing the term lower class to working class has not helped our corner, because for some strange reason most middle class kids who are working seem to think that the fact they have a job or work with their hands running a company, they think that makes them working class. My fucking God, the amount of times it annoys me so much seeing people that I used to know and knock about with that they're not working class. They're from middle to upper class backgrounds, had the world at their feet, and managed to buy their own company or start their own company. And yes, they're working hard, but by having a job or a hard job doesn't make it working class, because all jobs are fucking hard. And that's not to say I've got any animosity for these categories or groups. It's just I know that I'm qualified to talk about this because I'm a council estate boy, for fuck's sake. I mean, I've got a big family. I mean, I tick all the boxes for the working class. The only difference is I'm hyper aware of it, and for the longest time I didn't wear it on my sleeve. For the longest time I stepped out of that and tried to sort of be progressive. So I've had a bit of a topsy-turvy life with my opinions. I think your opinions should always evolve and always change, but I've been on enough sides of the fence, and I've to have sort of, I think, a fair perception of the world, or fair perception of the world right now, especially the working class, and because it's not the working class is like, it's not even a chosen lifestyle. It just is what it is. It's just I am the embodiment of that. I mean, all my estate boys are embodiments that my whole family are. So that's why there's a lot of misconceptions with the working class. You see in films and TV, it's romanticised, fucking all drug dealers everywhere. There were a lot of drug dealers, but obviously never the types you see on TV and that. And it seems like an exciting lifestyle, but it was exciting, but more because we was degenerates, but in a more genuine, naive way. I mean, we did cause a bit of trouble, but we weren't fucking like, it wasn't like Top Boy, for fuck's sake. I know there's estates like them Bricks and stuff and that might want to sort of fly that flag and say they're very similar to that, but they're not really, man. There are groups of people, and there are gangs, and there are drug dealers, but mostly there is a sense of community. And you can't take that away from the working class. We never thought you could, but now we seem to be doing it. We seem to be more divided than ever. And so my first guest on the podcast next week is a dear friend of mine called Lewisburg. Lewis grew up on Durand, close with me, one of the estates that I lived on. And every time I see him, it's very wholesome. I have a great time with him. We spend most of the time laughing and joking, because one thing we learn on the estate is to not carry yourself too seriously. Have a bit of banter. We'll take the piss out of each other, take the piss out of everyone. And we've got so many good stories, so many good anecdotes. Everyone on my estate does it. The people on my estate are the most funniest people in the world, most kind, most caring. And they don't even know it, because they're too busy out working to make sure if and when they have kids, or have kids already, they have a better life than what we had. Same as what our parents tried doing for us, trying to give us a better life. So they don't realise how special they are, how funny, how clever they are, because they're not worried about the fucking current paradigm shift of politics, not worried about Trump or fucking Conservative Party. They're just worried about making sure they're getting their bread and butter, making sure their friends and family are alright, and making sure everyone's got a smile on their face. But if you turn on the TV or turn on the news or whatever, you think that fucking we're all racist, xenophobic scumbags. when the irony is, going to a council estate, it's the most diverse place you'll fucking see. I mean, we're talking about the whole world, like London, like in the upper middle classes, talk about diversity, about how we need more of it. But yet none of them fucking ever stepped foot on a council estate and looked around. Jesus Christ, fucking, not all my neighbours were fucking white boys. And Jesus, fucking, the white boys were the worst anyway, fucking hell. Oh, sorry, that's a bit of a tangent. I say they're the worst because you say that white people tend to be racist, but on my estate, the black drug dealers, they're the most likeable people in the world. The white drug dealers were fucking scummy. They were not decent enough lads, but they were fucking scummy. They were thieves. But all the black boys in the estate that are drug dealers are fucking a pleasure to be around. I still chat to them today. They're fucking a right old laugh. And the police mainly did go for the white drug dealers because it was fucking, they were pretty bait about the whole ordeal. But yeah, I mean, I've grown up in a very diverse place, and not only do I cherish that, well, the reason I cherish that is because we didn't look at diversity as being skin colour or faith based or sexuality based. That isn't what made us diverse. It's our attitudes, our characters, our opinions. It's a diversity of ideas. We was all different. And it wasn't as if like all the black kids had hung out together, all the Irish kids hung out together, all the Bosnians hung out together, all the Kosovans and Turkish all hung out together. No, we all knocked about together. Our parents may not have associated, but all the kids did. And what I find troubling more than most nowadays is there's not much of a diversity of opinions. Not much of a diversity of ideas, especially in academia. It seems to be a strict written narrative that the whole world's going to shit, that we're all racist, we're all xenophobic, we're all us white cis males and all this fucking nonsense. And then, so we'll get into this with Lewis, but I want to make the podcast with Lewis a lot more anecdotal. I mean, I want to get his perceptions on all this. I will eventually, one by one, invite all my estate boys on the podcast and chat, because they need to have their voices heard, not because they've got anything important to say, just because they're fucking hilarious. And that's the point of this podcast as well. I'm not trying, although I like to try and think that I think meaningfully, I don't want anything meaningful happen with this. I'm not trying to start a movement. I hate all that nonsense. It drives me mad because it all seems so doesn't seem genuine. Doesn't seem sincere. I don't want to start a movement. I don't want to start a voice for the working class and that nonsense. I just want to sit down and actually let the working class people that aren't doing things like this because they're busy working have a chance to sort of talk and be heard, have a good time, and that you guys see in them what I see in them, and just love them like I do, if I can capture the whole aura of them. Because what I found, especially when Lewis will get into this, but when you're in a state, the state is your life. I mean, no one on the neighbouring roads likes you. Everyone in primary school, the kids don't want to go back to your yard because they think you're all scumbag or their wheels going to get nicked. You're isolated into this little kingdom of the estate, and there's a hierarchy there, but not in a sense of it's not a bad hierarchy. It's a dog-eat-dog world. But when I was about 15, 16, I started hanging off the estate. I got my first group of friends outside of school and that, with the grungers and whatnot, and I started spending more time away from the estate than on it. And it's good. And in that time, I became a bit more progressive, and I think that's because I was hanging out with more middle class, upper class kids, and I didn't want to seem like the dumb council estate boy. And I wouldn't say it goes far to say I was embarrassed of my background, but I knew through high school and primary school, the reactions I had to living where I did, it became a bit of a faux pas to mention. I didn't want to risk these friendships I had, so I didn't mention about my background. It took me until the age of about 18, 19, meeting my best mate Greg to really, me and Greg become really close to sort of actually talk about my upbringing. And then I realised he had the very same journey himself. But nowadays I talk about it quite a lot because I'm a bit ashamed that I was or felt ashamed of my past them. Anyway, the point was, it led me down a more progressive road. And then people, in hindsight, people were very condescending towards that because they treated me like I was a smart one, I was a clever one, when to be honest, I was a dumb fuck. I just told people what they wanted to hear. But now that I'm not even necessarily going against the grain. I'm just speaking my mind, coming from a place of sincerity, saying, hang on, guys, not all of us working class lads are like that. We do think meaningfully, and we are well read in some. We are well read, and in most regards, not as thick as you think we are. But the thing is, the same people that used to think that I was very clever and progressive are the same people now that think I'm a dumb fuck, or I'm, this right winger, which I'm fucking not. I'm not at all. And I just think it's hilarious, because back when I was clever, I was dumb as fuck, and now I really try to I think about everything that I do. I think about, or I really change my opinions a lot. I'm well read. I'm pretty the smartest I've ever been. I'm still learning, but these people now think I'm just a dumb fuck. And to me, it's kind of hilarious, how hypocritical and how sort of ironic it is. But anyway, that tangent's quite depressed. Not even depressed, it's quite angry, but it's not meant to come across as angry. It's just, I want to unpack this in the podcast. I want to have people come on. I want to understand their background, where they come from, where they sit right now, what opinions they have, and I don't want to challenge their opinions, but I want to unpack, and I keep saying the word unpack, but it's kind of the best description, unpack their opinions as to why they think, just so not only can I have a better understanding as to why they think the way they do, but also they can have a better understanding as to why they think they do. Because back to the start of the podcast, I spend a lot of my days, if headphones in, listening to podcasts or listening to lectures and things, and I sit and think about my opinions and what I think about these matters, but I don't never put pen to paper anymore unless I'm writing lyrics. It's just I have these conversations ruminating in my head like a fucking nutter. When it comes to actually talking to someone, I end up talking very, very quickly and trying to store all this knowledge dump, and it makes it seem a bit nonsensical, and it makes me realise how articulating your opinions is very, very important. Because those of us that sort of sit in isolation a lot of the time think we know a lot, but if we can't articulate our thoughts to other people, then we don't know as much as we think we do. We're not as confident in our opinions as we think we are. So that's why I want to do this podcast. My girlfriend's out tonight. It's Saturday night. It's 10 to 10. I didn't want to do this, but all week I've wanted to do something. I want to sit down and have a conversation or start introducing my idea of my podcast, Gobshite. I thought, fuck it, there's no better time than now. Just get on with it. So yeah, the podcast will be called Gobshite. Like the Facebook page, like the YouTube channel, subscribe. And I'm going to try to really do content weekly, if not twice weekly. And just sit down. Not everything's always going to be filmed, because some people might be uncomfortable having a camera in the face, and my setup's still pretty ghetto at the moment. But I want to sit down and have some meaningful conversations, and I hope you guys enjoy them. So yeah.